Sean, a lot of people are talking about Harry and Meghan showing up there with Kate and William. We haven't seen them together in a long time, and people are kind of interested in this, especially after what now King Charles III had to say in his first address to the nation. I want everybody to take a listen to this.
I want also to express my love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build their lives overseas.
Okay, build their lives overseas. So that kind of felt a little strange. I think I want to play one more soundbite from Piers Morgan because it kind of feels like maybe he encapsulates the way a lot of the British citizens feel about Harry and Meghan.
And I think that beneath all this, there was a pretty clear message from Charles that he's getting a bit fed up with this rival royal family based in California, spray gunning the royals and the monarchy whenever it suits them for huge personal enrichment from companies like Netflix and Spotify. There's the most gigantic rift now at the very heart of our new monarch. Charles is distraught. He's incredibly hurt by what's been happening with his son and his daughter-in-law. And so he's putting all his chips on William. And I think that's the right thing to do. If I were him, I'd go further. I would strip Meghan and Harry of all their titles. Period. Done. Wow. Take them away.
Piers wants them with no titles.
But it was interesting. Prince Charles didn't, or King Charles now did not refer to them with their titles. Just wished them both well, referenced both of them, wished them well, but didn't mention their titles. And listen, I'm a father. I would be so angry at my kids that were profiting off of the family intrigue. Again, big deals, as Piers mentioned, on Spotify and on Netflix. Meghan has a podcast that's come out. It's, I mean, a huge listenership. And so I would say, listen, you're not going to come into the fold of the family in this very, important time where we're all grieving and use that moment to then go back to the States across the pond and then profit off it for your family and dish on us. Again, this is private. We love this woman. You haven't shown the greatest respect and love for her yourself, and therefore you're going to be excluded. I'm interested in what Charles is going to do here. Obviously, the shoes are very big to fill of his mother. Yeah. And he has been one who has been very engaged in politics. I actually asked this to Piers on the 5 yesterday. But does he give up the politics? Does he actually be a king for everybody? Or does he still engage in his war on global warming, especially when there's been so much economic devastation in Europe based on these global warming policies that have basically shot prices up, made it energy unaffordable for so many people across Europe. I'm fascinated to see how he navigates that, but I will say I'm proud of him for actually calling out Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, that was a very interesting thing. I think, Joe, what Sean is saying, it's people are all paying attention, right? This is such a big deal, and we're here in America. Obviously, we don't have a queen. We wanted to distance ourselves from the monarchy. That is why America exists today, but Queen Elizabeth II, I think for so many people, was so powerful and did such an incredible job because she stayed out of politics. She stayed above the fray. But that doesn't seem like it was enough for some people, because take a listen to the way some of these pundits on other networks were trashing Queen Elizabeth. Listen to this.
British colonialism, which she presided over for all these years, had a terrible effect on much of the world. It's something that people revolt from.
So for a lot of people, if she, like me, if she had led by being vocally visible against racial injustice and inequality in Britain and addressed both historical and present-day systemic racism, she would have had a lot of legitimacy and credibility.
We can mourn the Queen and not the empire. Yeah. Because if you really think about what the monarchy was built on, it was built on the backs of Black and brown people. In the Black communities that I'm a part of, they want reparations.
Do these people just need attention? What is this?
No class and no shame is what it is,
yeah.
Laura, right? There was a Carnegie Mellon professor, actually, who tweeted out that she hoped that the Queen was in excruciating pain right before her death. And now Carnegie Mellon University isn't going to reprimand this person in any way, shape, or form. I'm old enough to remember, by the way, because you would think that after people die, bad people die, that the obituaries would match the moment. You remember the Washington Post with al-Baghdadi when the Trump administration took him out? They called him an
austere scholar.
A religious scholar who enjoyed playing soccer as a child when he wasn't visiting the local mosque, right? But Nancy Reagan, that was the worst. 2016, after she died. This is the Washington Post, okay? Nancy Reagan had an undeniable knack for inviting controversy. There were even extravagant spending habits at a time of double-digit unemployment, a chaotic relationship with her children and stepchildren that could rival a soap opera plot. That's an obituary, right? And here, Queen Elizabeth, who carried herself with such dignity and class, and by the way, talk about media, only 65 years after she took the throne, did she do her first media interview. 65 years. She's like, yeah, I'm going to be above this. So overall, look, Queen Elizabeth should be celebrated. This is somebody who wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. Literally, she was a mechanic.
Yes,
in
an
World
auto
War
mechanic.
II. Right, an auto mechanic. At age 14 in World War II. So to see this on the air, unfortunately, this is what we've become now. When somebody of this stature dies, we have to find something wrong with that person, even when it isn't true.
Yeah, it's so sad. And Alicia, you know, one of the things I think that impresses me the most as a woman is here you have a woman who was 25 when she assumed this title, Queen of England. And this was a time when women really, I mean, things were different for women. You have to think back in the 50s, we were not, you know, CEOs of companies. Women were not elevated the way that we are today and equal in our footing in many respects. Yet there she was doing this job and doing an incredible job, and how revered she was, even though times were different. I mean, she really excelled at her role.
She did manage to be of the moment and in the future at the same time, and was representative of someone who could hold power without wielding power over others. And that spoke to her grace. The fact that she wouldn't get involved in politics is also part of the reasons why she was so loved. She achieved the ultimate balancing act for 70 years. And King Charles does have some big shoes from a very tiny woman to fill.
That's so true. Another queen we will never see because we have King Charles and then it will be William.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.